Who are you?
My father was Micah, the first of his name. My brother Aemon reigned after him.
You got a name, thief?
Egg.
Egg.
Aemon Targaryen was born into the most powerful dynasty in Westeros and almost immediately began the long work of stepping away from it. He is the son of Prince Maester Targaryen, portrayed by Sam Spruell in A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, who was the fourth son of King Daeron II. Maekar had four sons: Daeron the Drunken, Aerion Brightflame, Aemon, and the youngest, Aegon, the boy the world would come to call Egg. The Targaryen family tree of this era is a cascade of dysfunction. Daeron drinks himself toward ruin. Aerion is vain, sadistic, and genuinely dangerous, the kind of man who believes that cruelty is strength. And then there is young Aemon, who looks at the ambition and violence swirling around him and makes an almost incomprehensible choice. He decides to become a maester, to trade silver hair and dragon blood for books, ravens, and the grey robes of the citadel. In A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, Aemon is mentioned but not seen. During episode 3, Raymond Fossaway gossips to Sir Duncan the Tall about the state of Maekar's sons. Daeron's a sot, Aerion's just vain and cruel. The third so useless, they were gonna ship him off to a citadel to make a maester of him. The third is, of course, Aemon, and what Raymond dismisses as uselessness is actually something far rarer in this world: the wisdom to choose service over power. Aemon almost appeared in Season 1 of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, but showrunner Ira Parker confirmed during a Reddit AMA that it almost happened, then it didn't, leaving open the possibility that he could appear in Seasons 2 or 3 of the show. His absence, paradoxically, makes him feel more present, because Game of Thrones viewers know exactly who that useless third son grows up to be, and the gap between Raymond's contempt and the man Aemon becomes is one of the most satisfying, long-form dramatic ironies in the franchise's history. Here is where Aemon's story becomes almost mythological in its proportions, and where the full architecture of what the showrunners are building becomes clear. Aemon was never supposed to be anywhere near the Iron Throne, but history had other plans. Daeron the Drunken died. Aerion, who believed himself to be a dragon trapped in a man's body, died drinking wildfire to try and transform himself. With both elder brothers dead and his father Maekar killed during a rebellion, Aemon was next in the line of succession. The lords of Westeros came to him, they offered him the crown, and Aemon Targaryen said no. He had sworn his vows as a maester. Those vows required him to stand apart from power, from family, from the Game of Thrones entirely, and so he kept them, even when keeping them meant declining a kingdom. The crown passed instead to his younger brother Egg, the bald, barefoot boy who had wandered Westeros with Sir Duncan the Tall, who became Aegon the Fat, one of the more beloved kings in the dynasty's history.
Egg. I dreamed that I was old.
In Game of Thrones, Maester Aemon himself recounts this moment to Jon Snow, explaining his Targaryen lineage and the choice he made, name-dropping both his father Maekar and his brother Egg. It is one of the most remarkable pieces of world-building in the show's entire run, delivered by a man so old that the fire of those decisions has long since cooled into something that looks almost like peace. Almost. In Game of Thrones, Maester Aemon is played by the late Peter Vaughan, an actor of extraordinary presence and economy who brought immense gravitas to a role that could easily have been simply decorative. When we first meet Aemon, he is impossibly old. Over a century of living have taken his sight and bent his body, but left his mind impeccably clear and his moral compass undeviating. He serves as the Maester of Castle Black, the Night's Watch's fortress at the edge of the world, where he has lived for decades, tending to ravens and the sick and the dispossessed men who find their way to the wall.
Baelor Targaryen, firstborn son of King Daeron the Good, hand of the king, and heir to the Iron Throne, and his brother, Maekar.
He emerges across the show's first 4 seasons as a vital advisor and ally to both Jon Snow and Samwell Tarly. In a world populated by men who talk about honor while demonstrating something considerably less, Aemon Targaryen actually lives it. He has no agenda beyond the well-being of the Watch and the people in his care. He is incapable of playing the Game of Thrones because he genuinely does not want to win it. His relationship with Jon Snow carries a secret irony that neither man ever learns. Jon, whose true identity as a Targaryen is only revealed after Aemon's death, is Aemon's distant relative, separated by generations and a lineage the old man could not have known about. When Aemon counsels Jon about the loneliness of leadership, about the cost of doing what is right in a world that punishes righteousness, he is speaking from a century of personal experience that maps onto Jon's struggle with an uncanny precision. His scenes with Sam Tarly are among the most quietly beautiful in the show's run. Sam is brilliant, frightened, and perpetually underestimated, and Aemon sees him with the same clear, kind eyes he has always used, recognizing both the fear and the quality beneath it. He never flatters Sam, he just sees him accurately, which turns out to be the rarer and more valuable gift. Aemon sat at the wall through the tragedy at Summerhall, in which Egg himself was killed along with much of the Targaryen line in a catastrophic attempt to hatch dragon eggs, and through Robert's rebellion and the sack of King's Landing. He sat through all of it helpless, bound by vows he had chosen freely, watching his family reduced to ash and memory/film. That is the full weight of what he carried for 100 years every day in silence. Aemon dies in the 7th episode of Game of Thrones Season 5. Old age finally catches up to him, and on his deathbed he has delirious, imagined conversations with his younger brother Egg. His final words have become, in the time since A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms premiered, arguably the most emotionally resonant moment in the franchise's entire run. He mistakes Samwell Tarly for his long-dead brother, reaches for him across a century of loss and loneliness, and whispers, "Egg, I dreamed that I was old."
I was in love once.
You were?
I was very young.
Who was she?
I could tell you everything about her. Who she was, how we met, the color of her eyes, and the shape of her nose. I can see her right in front of me.
We witnessed
Knowing
the
now
horrors
from
of
A
the
Knight of
first
the Seven
Black
Kingdoms exactly
Fire
who Egg
Rebellion's
was, a bald,
aftermath,
barefoot
and the
boy
murder
full
of Dom's
laughter
childhood
and
friend,
stubborn goodness,
Rafe,
who wandered
which
dusty
reveals
roads
the
with a
origin
knight
of
who was
Dom's
too honest
morality
for
and
his
exactly
own
how a
good.
drunken
That line
Esser
becomes
Ireland
almost unbearable.
originally
Aemon's
saved
last
him.
act of consciousness is
Bolstered
to
by
reach
the memory
back
of his
across
past and
100
the echoing
years
sound
to the
of
boy his
Egg
brother
screaming
used
for
to
him
be,
to stand
the
up,
time before
Dunk
Summerhall and
shits the
fire and
restrictive,
dynasty
elegant
and
combat
ruin.
style of
That is
highborn
Aemon
knights.
Targaryen's
He
story.
resorts
It is
to
not a
brawling
story
with
about
Aerion
dragons
using
or
his
wars
sheer
or the
size
Iron
and
Throne.
flea-bottomed
It is a
street fighting
story about
tactics.
what it costs to be
Dunk
honorable
violently
in a
beats
world
Aerion
that
into
doesn't
submission,
reward
forcing the
honor,
prince to
and
publicly
about a
yield
man who
and
paid
withdraw
that
his
cost
accusation,
every
effectively
day
winning the
of his
trial and
remarkably
securing his
long
own
life,
freedom.
and never once asked for a
Now,
refund.
speaking of the
Egg,
cost of
he
honor,
dreamed
the
that he
euphoria
was
of
old,
Dunk's
and the
hard-fought
dream was
survival
true, and
is
it was
immediately
enough.
shattered